Around the SEC. Brought to you by Precision Chemical and Equipment. Come check out our selection of Exmark, Yazoo Keys, and Dixon zero-turn radius mowers. Located 1/2 mile south of Siegen on Airline Highway. The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Well, a turbulent week for South Carolina when they dismissed Stephen Garcia, closed with devastating news. Marcus Lattimore done for the year with a knee injury. Steve Spurrier said, quote, "Our worst fears were realized." Lattimore has a torn ligament in his left knee. Also suffered some cartilage damage. He needs surgery. Doctors say they're going to keep him braced to allow it to stabilize for a couple of weeks before they operate. Lattimore had 818 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns so far this season. He was blocking for Bruce Ellington when a Mississippi State defender rolled up on his leg. Huge blow for the Gamecocks, who seem to be in great position in the SEC East. Now they'll do it without Stephen Garcia and without Marcus Lattimore.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
One guy who continues to plug along is Trent Richardson, named SEC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. Career-high $183, 4 touchdowns at Ole Miss on Saturday. Also caught 2 passes for 30 yards for good measure. He's had at least 100 yards rushing in 6 consecutive games now. Richardson's leading the SEC and is 4th nationally with 130 rush yards per game.
The Auburn Tigers.
Clint Mosley has a chance to make his first collegiate start at LSU this Saturday. Mosley said, quote, "They're an amazing defense. It's something that you really do dream about." Mosley had thrown 2 passes all season before coming off the bench, starting the second half Saturday at home against Florida. Either he or Barrett Trotter will start against LSU. Gene Chizik said he'll make a decision before Tuesday's practice.
The Florida Gators.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Florida may be getting John Brantley back the next time they're on the field. They have some time to lick their wounds after 3 straight losses. They have a bye this week, October 29th, the cocktail party against Georgia. Will Muschamp says he thinks he'll have John Brantley back by then. Quote, "I'm hoping so. His rehab's going very well. I'll update you as far as I know at this point." Until then, it's freshman Jacoby Brissett and Jeff Driscoll battling it out. Brissett appears to have the advantage right now.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Bad got worse for Ole Miss on Saturday. Defensive end Wayne Dorsey, cornerback Marcus Temple, out for the year after being injured against Alabama. That's more bad news for Ole Miss, who's lost 11 of their past 12 SEC games. Both seniors were key defensive players. Dorsey leading Ole Miss in tackles for loss and sacks. Temple had 28 tackles and was second on the team with 2 picks. Losing 2 defensive players is not where you want to be going into this game against Arkansas on Saturday, but that's where Ole Miss is.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
And Mark Richt said Sunday that he's talked with all of his players and coaches who were involved in a heated exchange on the field after Georgia's win at Vanderbilt Saturday. As the teams headed toward midfield after the game, Vandy coach James Franklin had sort of a terse exchange with Georgia defensive coordinator Todd Grantham. Remember, this is the same guy who did the choke sign at Florida's kicker last year at the end of the game. Well, a Vanderbilt player had to separate Franklin and Grantham before that scuffle escalated even further. Rick said he hopes he does not hear from the SEC about the incident, said he has not already, and he says he's addressed it with his team. There you have it. That is Around the SEC.